Hey, what's up, guys? Apologies, first off, for the absolute mess that is my room right now. I'm packing up for a trip, and figured what better time to record the video that I've been planning for so long. So, I got to play the demo for Halo Infinite. The very first tech demo that was available to the public. I only played it for, I think, 3 of the 4 days. I think I had 4 days or so. It was very fun. I got a couple of my buddies and my siblings to play on it as well, to tell me what their thoughts were, so I could gather a little bit more information from different people, to get some different viewpoints on the game. So I didn't miss anything. All so that I could tell you guys what the initial thoughts are on this tech demo. Now, again, it is a tech demo, not a full-fledged game. It is not the final version by any means. And that didn't actually show all that much in my mind. I mean, obviously, there were a lot of things that were removed from the game or kept out of the game. So we're not seeing all of the possible content that we can get. But some of it was there. A lot of it was there. And at least the glimpses that we got of the entirety of the content was there. So, one of my very first thoughts, my initial thoughts were, thank God we finally have another Halo game, and thank God I get to play it. It was a dream come true. I'm a long time Halo fan. I've played all of the games, countless thousands of hours as a kid, all the way from Combat Evolved to Halo 5 present day, Master Chief Collection, all of that. I started off on Halo 2. Didn't actually get in Combat Evolved until like after Halo 4. I think actually the very first time I played Halo Combat Evolved, I think, was in the Master Chief Collection. But I've since then gone through all of them. Halo Reach was and still probably is one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. Halo 2 and 3 are just absolute monsters in the shooter genre. They're excellent. Halo 4 had an incredible story, in my opinion. Gameplay was evolving, but not quite to its final form yet. Halo 5's multiplayer was, in my opinion, fantastic. It moved into a modern genre, which a lot of people did not like, and I completely understand that. It did not feel like a typical Halo multiplayer. It did feel like it was moving more toward like a Call of Duty feeling game, while retaining the artistic notes of Halo, which I enjoyed, but I did kind of miss the nostalgic classic Halo type combat that changed when they hit 5. And 5's story, we're not going to talk about that. Anyways, so what makes Halo incredible? Halo's multiplayer is part of what makes it incredible. Halo's campaign is what solidifies its legacy, in my opinion. Its campaign, the story behind it, the books behind it are fantastic. Just the overarching lore, the world that they've created with Halo is really well done, in my opinion. It's very immersive. The stories of each of the Spartans and some of the people that surround them are intriguing. I love the conflict that happens between the Covenant and the UNSC, and the way that humanity rises up to the challenge when it's required of them, even if it's by questionable means. So, Halo's multiplayer was made legendary by Halo 2. That was one of the best shooter games of all time. It revolutionized the genre of shooters in a lot of different ways. And it's not what we typically... It doesn't play the same way that we typically think a shooter nowadays would. First off, and one of the biggest things that a lot of people going back to Halo 2 and 3 will feel is it's not as fast. You don't have sprint in Halo 2 and 3. And I don't think that was necessarily on purpose. I just don't think that was a common thing to have back in those days, especially in the shooter genre. You just moved. Also, and I loved one of the things that some of the Halo devs said in a particular interview, he said that whenever you respawn, or whenever you spawn in, everyone off the rip is equal. I love that. And that really does exemplify what Halo 2, 3, all of the Halos up until 4 and 5 kind of changed that a little bit, but not by much. Everyone is equal off of the rip. You start with the same loadout. You're just your typical Spartan. There's no upgrades you can have before that give you an advantage over your opponents. You go and find the advantages on the field, and I love that. I think that's a perfectly balanced way to do games. Whereas in like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Battlefront, any of these other shooter games, you can earn attachments and things to put onto your weapons that give you that advantage before you even spawn, which is okay in a lot of ways. Sometimes that's fun. That's another way of strategizing, but Halo takes it to a more simplified, basic level where you are always equal right off the bat. And I love that. I think that's an awesome strategy. It's a lot of fun to play games that way. Halo Infinite is no exception. You start off completely equal. Everyone starts with the same weapons. There's no abilities that you get right off the bat, which was a concern for a lot of people that I have heard from. Seeing all of these different abilities, they're like, oh no, it's Halo, Reach again, or it's Halo 4 again, where you start off with an ability, and it kind of makes it uneven. And a lot of people saw like the grappling hook in one of the in the trailers and stuff like that, and they assumed that everyone could start off with a grappling hook, and it was like, oh, that's going to be chaos, that's going to be horrible. And I would typically agree if that was the case, but it's not. All of these items that you can pick up are found on the map somewhere. So if you want the advantage, you have to go find it. Which again, sticking to the basic Halo formula. Everyone's equal off the bat. And I love that. So, what changed in Halo 4 and 5? Well, in Halo 4 and 5, everyone started off with Sprint. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Halo 4 amped up the quickness of the game. It felt a lot faster. Halo 5, as I've heard from a lot of people who didn't like it because it went more toward the modern genre, Halo 5 had Sprint, which was incredibly fast, and booster jets, so you could dash from side to side, up, down, forward, backward, whatever. Not up and down, that's just jump. But that made the game feel very fast. Now, Halo has smaller maps, think like Shipment or Rust or like Nuketown kind of size maps. And imagine moving incredibly fast within those spaces. I mean, it's chaos. It's very, very quick. Halo Classic players do not like that, in part because it makes the field challenging, and the classic Halo feel is you're slow, you're methodical, and you're finding your advantage slowly throughout the map, which is okay. It's not slow per se, but slower than modern shooters. And the departure from that was not well accepted. Understandable. Halo Infinite is different. Your movement speed, as calculated apparently, is roughly 8% faster than your normal run, your normal speed, which I think is a vast improvement. It doesn't feel like if you just sprinted in one direction, you would get to the other side of the map in 2 seconds. Take roughly like 6 or 7 seconds, which is perfectly fine. And a lot of these maps feel multi-dimensional, which is really, really good too. You have upwards of 3 to 4 levels of gameplay in each of these maps. It feels really good. I like the level design. So we'll pause on the gameplay for just a second, and let's go back to what this beta test was for. So obviously we were going to critique the game engine, the game design, but really this was a test for the bots. What Halo's never had before in one of these games is a AI competitor, an AI bot of some sort. There's always been AIs, obviously, as minions and such in like the campaign, in Warzone in Halo 5, but there's never been Spartans in multiplayer that are AI. None of those. Which, so our first thought was, oh man, this will be interesting. Their first go at bots. Let's see, how they do. And this is how I would describe it. If I was thrown into a multiplayer game and no one told me that all of the opponents and allies were bots, I would be 100% sold that these are real players in a lot of ways. And that's from a veteran Halo player in myself. There are some times where obviously maybe they're a little bit clunkier, maybe they don't move the same way a normal person would, or don't train on a target the same way a normal person would. But I thoroughly enjoyed these bots. I thought that they brought good competition at all 4 of the different difficulties. They go from Recruit to Marine to ODST to Spartan. So those are the 4 kinds of bots, the 4 levels of bots. And on day 1 they started off on Recruit. Day 2 they went up to Marine, 3 ODST, 4 Spartan, as expected. And on the very first day, when we were fighting the Recruit level bots, I was like, okay, this is pretty easy. I'm getting easily like a 2.5 to 3.0 KD, which is pretty good. But regardless of that, the opponents felt pretty fluid. Sometimes they wouldn't turn around whenever I would start shooting them. They would continue going their own way, which, okay, a little bit clunky, but obviously it's the lowest level of bot, so you have different tendencies that will be unlocked as you climb the chain of difficulty for the AI bots. On the second and third days, once you got to like Marine and ODST, those bots got good. And I was holding down maybe like a 1.5 to 2 KD in a lot of those. And on the third day when you're fighting Spartans, the day that we recorded, it was tough. I mean, you were struggling to get above a 1 KD in a lot of those cases. And again, a lot of that is me not being very polished in Halo. It's been a very long time since I played competitively in Halo. But it was an absolute blast. I loved the bots. I loved the way that they reacted. They would use grappling hook. They would use grenades intelligently. They would use jumping and even crouching whenever they knew you had a precision weapon so that you could not land the headshot, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. There were a lot of ways that these bots surpassed regular players in capability just because, they're programmed to. It's just how they work. A lot of humans don't think 100% logically. These guys do in a lot of cases. So I thoroughly enjoyed the competition. I loved bots, and I'm very excited to see them filling out multiplayer lobbies so that we can get into those lobbies faster, probably. So those are the bots. That was the whole purpose of this beta test. The rest of it, we're going to go into what does the UI look like? What does the store, the number of customization options look like? That kind of stuff. So one thing people were a little bit leery of in the very beginning was these coatings, is what they're calling them. And they're pre-designed color combinations for skins for your weapons, your vehicles, and your Spartan, your personal Spartan. So the thought was, okay, they're introducing a battle pass. So these coatings, are we gonna have to pay for all of them? Is this going to be a pay to customize your character kind of thing? Which I do not think that it will be. Now, having a battle pass in Halo is pretty new. It's definitely different. It's definitely something that's not being accepted incredibly well. But after seeing it firsthand and hearing a lot of different things from the devs about how they feel about it, I'm sold on it. I think it's a good way to make the game pay for itself while multiplayer is free. So let's throw that out there. The multiplayer for this game is going to be free. The only way that they're really going to make money on this game is by people buying the campaign, which they certainly will. It's in addition to the Halo campaign. Why wouldn't they? It's a good story, and people want to see where it's headed. and the Battle Pass. That's going to be their other source of revenue for this game. So back to coatings though. I would have preferred to be able to customize the color of my Spartan the classic way, I think. But to be fair, coatings unlock a higher level of customization. There's a lot of different color combinations you would not have been able to get on your own, classically speaking, with the old customization settings. Now, to be fair, they could have given us those customization options. We could have been able to, pick apart the arm pieces and customize the colors individually that way. That would have been cool. But I do think, as a middle ground between the old color customization of like Halo 5 or Halo Reach, two of the best Spartan customization systems of all time. I loved Halo Reach. As a middle ground between that and what could have been, this is pretty good. I did like the armor coatings. They had a couple of them that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I picked the Scorpion one, which was one that I thought stood out in the... what was it? There's a couple different trailers that I think they had this in, but it's basically just a gunmetal with a couple of red accents, and the right arm is totally red. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. You'll see me fiddling around with that in game. They had a couple other ones that were really cool. They had some like royal blue and gold ones, which I thought was awesome. They had the white and light blue. I thought that one was really good. These coatings do look good. I'm impressed with them. I like them. I think that they're going to have they will have a lot more at launch, obviously, and I'm excited to see what they do with those. The armor customization, I would say, goes back to a Halo Reach style, which I am so happy about. In Halo 4 and 5, what you would do is you would customize the body of the Spartan and the head of the Spartan, and those were two distinct pieces. You could not customize each arm. You could not customize the leg pads. You could not customize the chest individually. You had to kind of pick, okay, which body armor do I want and which helmet do I want, which was a vast downgrade off of Halo Reach, where you could customize everything. Every Spartan looked unique, and that was what was so much fun about that. And I love customization. It's one of my favorite parts of the game. I like feeling like my Spartan is my own. I like putting myself into that suit and enjoying it. I love it being an extension of myself. And I feel like Halo Infinite is going to have that in spades. You customize each of the arm guards, you customize the chest, helmet, all of that. Your Spartan can have different prosthetics, which is awesome. You can have different knee pads, different visor colors. All of these things are customizable. Your Spartan's body type, awesome. So all of these things are interchangeable. We only saw a very limited number of them in the demo, obviously, because they weren't going to give us all of the things right off the bat. But nevertheless, I think if this is just a peek at even like only a tenth, hopefully less than a tenth of all of the things that they have planned for the game, I'm happy with it. And obviously they will continue to add to this in the Battle Pass. Typically, in-game, whenever you're playing in a multiplayer game, there will be a voice in your head, the announcer, that will congratulate you on awesome kills, that will give you helpful advice about what the enemy team is doing, all of these kinds of things. And they have different AI in this one. They have Fret, they have Butler, they have Cirque, and they have Lumu. All of these different AIs have different personalities, different voices, and I suspect that they'll have more at launch, but all of them provide a different take on what you're doing. Butler obviously sounds like Alfred, Batman to Alfred, and he's constantly, commenting on, "Well done, good chap. Well done, good sir." Well, maybe we'll have some footage of that in here. If not, I'm just embarrassing myself. But But they also have like Fred, who gives you like scared commentary, like he's just terrified of being in a battle zone, which is really ironic and funny, being that he's the AI to a Spartan. They have Cirque, who's like she's like a southern mother, is what I would compare her to. She's very fun, very funny. Lumu is one of the fan favorites. All of them provide different personality to your gameplay, different personality to your Spartan, and it really does impact your gameplay because that's the voice you're hearing constantly. When you get a kill, it's telling you good job, or wow, that was really scary, or that was really darn cool, whatever. It's giving you that, and that's awesome. I really appreciate that. I think that that is an excellent addition to the personalization of your experience in Halo. One thing that was clarified fairly recently about this Battle Pass, which is unique from other Battle Passes that we've seen from other games, is that you retain the ability to progress this Battle Pass even after its expiration date. So if you have one Battle Pass, if you purchase the very first Battle Pass, and its time limit in the grand scheme of the season expires, you can go back and continue to earn XP and finish out that battle pass if you would like to. You never lose it, which is awesome. So in Apex and other games like that, Apex is just the closest one I can think of. Whenever the time limit for the battle pass is over, you can no longer earn any of those rewards. Those are exclusive to the people who finished that battle pass in the time limit, which is okay, but it's not ideal, I don't think. I like this format. If you buy it, you keep it, and I think that that is an excellent way of doing things. They also added that you will be able to go back and buy previous battle pass, so nothing is exclusive. If you can, if it's out there, you can have it. You can earn it, pay your way to earn it, essentially. Which is, okay, we'll end up spending more than $60 on this game, probably. But again, it was free to start off with, so you gotta start somewhere. So I like that format. I like that nothing in-game is unobtainable. There's nothing that you can't that you can buy from the store that will be exclusive to only that person in that time limit. All of it will be accessible to you, and I think that's a really good way of doing it. It doesn't exclude anybody. It doesn't what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyways, other than that, I thought the gameplay was awesome. It took me a really long time to get used to the UI in the menu. So at first I had a lot of trouble getting my sensitivity correct. So, I mean, I've been playing other shooter games with an Xbox controller or with a mouse and keyboard. Now, keep in mind, I did play this demo on the original Xbox One. So on the lowest of the current gen hardware, last gen hardware. So regardless, like, we'll keep that in perspective. We'll talk about that for a minute. On the original Xbox One, it worked out pretty good. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't as clunky as I would have expected. It did load in textures and load in objects slower than I would have liked. Like in the menu, if you popped into the menu, it would take about a second for all of the other objects to load in, which is distracting a little bit and, kind of heartbreaking. But again, this is way early gen hardware. I imagine and have heard that it has run much, much more smoothly and efficiently on current gen hardware, and I'm hoping for the next beta test I'll be able to play on PC to confirm those kinds of things. But yeah, back to the UI. I did think that the UI was good. It worked efficiently and well. I did not use all of the things like grenade switcher or helmet light or AI scan, whatever that was, which I suspect I'll find out in the next demo. But it did take a while for me to hone in my aiming sensitivity. Part of that was probably because I have a very weird sense of direction. I have to compensate for bad habits. But regardless of that, I think it will take players a little bit to get used to the clunkier, and I use air quotes because it really is not incredibly clunky, but to me it felt a little bit clunky at first. But once I had everything honed in, it felt really, really good. So movement felt good. Aiming felt really good. The bots felt incredible. Gameplay in general, overall, I was very, very impressed. The guns felt balanced. There was no gun in particular that felt super overpowered, other than obviously the rocket launcher. I mean, what are you gonna do? That's just a staple of Halo. If you get the rocket launcher, you get one kill guaranteed almost. Grenades felt, you know, you want to throw grenades. That was a big thing. I had someone ask me if grenades were downgraded after the last couple of Halos, and I would say absolutely not. They are as efficient as ever, and you should be throwing a lot of them. The gunplay itself felt really, really good. In particular, the Commando and the new pistol were absolute favorites of mine. I loved those two guns, the MK50 Sidekick and the Commando. This pistol is not the Magnum that we're used to, and I do hope that they have Magnum in here somewhere, because that's just a classic weapon. I would hate to see that one just completely leave the franchise. But the Sidekick felt incredible. One of the developers was mentioning that anything that made her feel like John Wick was very pleasing to her. It was something that she really enjoyed. It was her favorite thing about the game. And I was like, interesting. I don't think I've ever felt particularly like John Wick in any of the Halo games. I was like, that's an odd comment to make. But after playing the demo, I completely understand what she was saying. The Sidekick was a powerful, snappy pistol that sounded and felt incredible. And we'll get to sound in a minute. The Commando, however, is their new DMR. I use it a little bit loosely because it's not really a DMR. It's a fully automatic gun, but it fires a lot slower, but it does fire precision shots, like high-powered shots. It's a very slow automatic gun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Zoomed in, it had a lot of kick, but whenever you were shooting from the hip, way less kick. Very satisfying, very, very, very fun to use. Both those guns were my favorites, but everything else felt pretty good. I think they have a little bit I think they're having a hard time making the Covenant weapons, in my opinion, feel powerful or feel useful. The plasma pistol just felt really meh to me. Although, to be fair, I've never used Covenant weapons like a lot. The Covenant carbine was always one of my favorite guns, but that was about it. The new plasma rifle has like heat-seeking kind of capabilities. It seeks its opponent once it's close, which one sounds overpowered, but it's much harder to actually get a kill with that because its damage was so low. Damage output, at least. Battle rifle feels awesome as always. And just the sound design of all of these guns was absolutely stellar. You shoot better whenever it sounds better, and that's not a lie. That's, there's some scientific proof behind that. There have been studies done where they change the sound design of a particular gun that you're using, and certain players will perform better if it sounds a lot better. These guns sound really, really good. The sound design in this game overall, musically, gunplay wise, absolutely sounds incredible. A couple of bugs here and there with sound feeling like it's really far away all of the time, but again, it's a tech demo. What are you going to do? These are things that they're already ironing out. They're already aware of these problems. They had a list of things that they already knew were wrong with the game, and they wanted information about the new things that they were going to find that was wrong with the game. And I'm sure we found some, but I honestly thought this was a really, really polished beta. Aside from a couple of server issues, and aside from a couple of and just menu issues mainly. Everything else played really well. I was never dropped out of a match. I was dropped into a couple matches midway, which was fine. It wasn't like a horrible experience or anything, but overall, this was a really, really good beta. I'm excited for the next one. Overall, my review of this beta was, it was really good. It was really promising for Halo. I got goosebumps playing it here and there. It just felt really polished. It felt like a homage to what we loved about Halo 3, Halo 2, with a couple of mixed in new flavors, which was excellent. It was really, really, really good. It wasn't too fast, it wasn't too slow. There was plenty of thinking involved. Everything felt pretty polished and smooth, other than, obviously my clunky UI, my clunky aiming. But in general, grade A, man. This was good. It was really, really good. I'm excited for the release. Let me know what your thoughts were if you guys played the beta. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll be looking at those, or DM me if you have my DMs. I'm excited about Halo. I'm excited to talk about Halo with you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.